Hello everyone, welcome to the DraftCast. I'm your host, Luke Headley. As you can see, I'm animated this week. However, I'm missing something. I know, my DraftCast merch top. I'll be right back. Right, I'm back. What do you think? Do you think you'd buy one? Let me know, maybe I'll set up a merch shop. Anyway, let's get back to the episode. This week, we have the team manager for Team Rowe 3.0, Tom Rowe. How you doing, Tom?
Hello. Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Glad to have you on. We're going to look at the league table from the double game week. We'll do a team review of your team, and we'll do some predictions at the end, as well as your segment after that.
Yeah, what a week! What a week to be right strong as well. So,
our first Centurion, you are. Well done.
The first of a few, but yeah, it's nice to be in the record books.
Yeah, it's definitely an achievement to put on the record books. I feel sorry for Adam missing out on one, but I'm sure he's happy with his team score.
I mean, yeah, the ups and downs I think he went through. Yeah, very, very unfortunate.
Yeah, so you are our highest scorer this week. Tolly was our lowest with 59, which is quite a decent score for a single game week, but for a double game week,
we were kind of discussing this, weren't we? We were saying, I don't know, my view was anyway around the mid 70s. I would say you want to be hitting on the double game week.
Yeah,
59's a little bit below, but not much. There's a lot of low 60s. I think half the league got low 60s. So I think there's a little bit of underperforming in that game week.
Yeah, I bet George is feeling bad. I mean, he's done 82, which is a decent score, but he still dropped a place to Adam. Just shows you how well that 99 has done him. I mean, there's only 2 points between them, so it's bunching up. But there's not, other than you and Adam moving up, there's not much else movement really to discuss. Everyone else seemed to stay put. But yeah, everyone's sort of bunching up now, which is good. Good for the league, I think. So it's less than 100 points now between first and last, which is good.
Yeah, starting to heat up.
Yeah, not much else to say. You've taken the spotlight though with your 103, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can't take the full credit. The whole team pulled together really on that one. I mean, obviously you had Stones getting over a quarter of the points, but still, there's a lot left from the rest of the team. I think everyone really chipped in, apart from Bamford and so he's like my only I can't really complain. You hit over 100, but I left 20 extra points on the bench.
Yeah,
from changing my team, and it just teaches me never to change my team. I got to go with the gut. And I think I've learned that a lot over the last few seasons. That whenever I question myself, it never turns out better. So I think for the rest of the season, I'll be definitely going with the gut.
Yeah,
it seems to have paid off.
It's good. Well, you've already jumped us into our next segment, but looking at your team, like you said, everyone chipped in this week. Did Stones surprise you a little bit though with his 27?
I was expecting two cleanies, but to get the the 2 goals for a defender, especially like central defender, it's unheard of probably. So can't complain. I think he was the highest overall player, wasn't he?
I think so, yeah.
And I think probably the highest player we've had because it was a double game week, I think. But yeah, I think he's also in the record book.
It'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if Adam will mark that down because it's double game week. But yeah, 27 is a high score.
Brought in the 2 West Ham players, Dawson and Rice, and I mean they did their job. Brought in 8 points and 5 points.
Yeah.
So can't complain.
Like you say though, it's a shame about having Tielemans on there, 15 points on the bench,
and even Barnes over 8 on the bench.
Yeah.
Considering I had both of them in the starting 11 to start with, and then changed them, which is just a little bit demoralising. But it came down to the last few minutes, I think, with a goal from Pogba.
Yeah,
so it wasn't in the bag.
No,
last minute. So yeah, I mean Pogba, he's been pulling it out of the bag quite a few times recently. I think he's really starting to come into some form in the last few game weeks.
That's
and he's
good.
now playing the consistent 90 minutes, which is good to see. So he's in favour.
So you're going to make any big changes to come for the next game week?
Or when you hit over 100, I don't think you start playing with the team too much.
So
I think it's all about
fixtures
it's all about
well.
it's all about this. I think my lineup that I need to work on a little bit, because I think there's some good depth in the team. But not really anyone missing games. We've obviously got the De Bruyne injury to work with, but I think, like I said, the
would you
bench is
say
pretty
he's
strong.
been one of your strongest players so far this year?
I mean, I was first draft pick. He was the first draft pick. He's probably not reached the levels of which he was last season, but can't complain too much when in the last few game weeks he's hit 13, 6, 7 in the last 3 game weeks until the one where he came off at 58 minutes.
Yeah.
He's had a 10 game week where he's hit 10, 13 and 14 as well, but they were more spread out. So there's definitely potential there. And when he does hit, he hits some bigs. And, you got to keep him. But I think I've got the depth to manage the injury. I'm not too concerned.
So as the king of free as waivers, putting in waivers, because I'm pretty sure you've put in more than anybody. Are you putting in any this week or not?
Yeah, I mean that's just my tactic, isn't it? I think it's to make sure something happens. I don't want to be left with that player. I think so. I always do a few extra just in case.
Yeah.
But that's mainly normally because I'm towards the bottom of the league. So it's I need to make some changes, and it's not too hard to try and get some players back because I might have first pick or second pick or something like that. So it's worth a risk.
You're mid league now, Tom. You're not towards the bottom anymore.
It's all changing after. Maybe I need to change my mindset a little bit and be a bit more conservative. But I'm not planning anything. I don't think. Might trade Rice out because he's quite defensively and was brought in just tactically for the double game week. But other than that, I'm not seeing much that I would really want to change.
Yeah.
Like I say, let the players play, and they're doing well.
Have you had any awful offers of trades after your Centurion?
I think I've got a bit of a name for myself for not being the best to trade with. So I don't really actually get that many offers. So I think people have given up. I think, but other than Tolly, I mean, he's just consistent, isn't he? He's just
He is, yeah. I hadn't checked for a while, and there was 3 in my inbox before we came on. I was like, "No, I'll decline all of those, thanks."
But I rather. I guess I'm probably a bit more like yourself and look at the stats and use those to guide me a lot more, as I'm not able to follow the matches and the live performances as closely as some of the other managers. So do rely on the stats quite a lot, and that's what makes free agent quite good, because you can look at all the stats and kind of make an informed decision. Whereas a trade is sometimes a little bit, some emotions can come into it sometimes as well. I think where I've been stung in the past is just due to emotions rather than looking at the stats. So I'm not the biggest fan of a trade. I know that'll probably go down badly with the rest of the guys, but I prefer working the free agency.
Yeah, no, I understand. Because like we've said before, it's always about you want to win the trade. And if you don't see that outcome, you're very unlikely to actually accept it, are you? So
I actually feel as well with this season, maybe unlike the past season, but this season I actually feel like I've got quite a decent team across all patches of the field, the defence, midfield, strike, and there's not many teams. I know I'm not in a position to say this, as I'm nowhere near the top, but there's not many teams when I look at them thinking, I'd rather trade that. There's obviously individual players, but as a team, I think I've got quite a nice spread and, like I say, depth, and gives me options, which I think has helped me in the more recent weeks. Whereas I think some managers may have struggled with that with some injuries and rotations and postponed matches. I think I've stayed quite on top of it compared to the managers over these last few weeks in terms of hitting the consistency with the points.
Yeah, we'll have to see if you can keep it up for the next game week.
Definitely.
Yeah, and you'll probably, if you do, you'll be the manager that everyone will be looking to find players to grab off you. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't hold my breath. I don't.
So let's have a look at the upcoming game week 20. What team of our guys, who do you think is going to score big this week? And you can't say yourself.
I am confident with the team at the moment. They are on form. But if I was to pick elsewhere, I mean, I think looking at the fixtures, we're looking at the Manchester City, Manchester United teams potentially having a strong week with their fixtures.
Yeah.
And also Man City are hitting some form. Man United as well also seem to be hitting some form. So I think you're looking at managers who have got those players in. So maybe more leaning towards your Peaky Blinders. Got a large Man City base hitting form. De Bruyne's out. Adam has got Foden as well. So maybe Tolly. Maybe they'll do so. He's got a couple of United players, but I think I'd have to go with the Peaky Blinders. Really, I think when City start firing on all cylinders, there's no stopping them.
Yeah,
and especially if the keeping clean is in the same time as well. It's it's going to be a force to be reckoned with, really. So I think I'm going to have to back Peaky Blinders, and I think following the form as well from the 99 points he got in the last game week, the team seems to be doing well as a whole team. I think again his team across the board was very consistent. Everybody was bringing in the points, not just reliant on one player.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Have to agree with you. I've written Adam down as well.
Is that a first?
I'm not sure. I think early episodes. I think there was an agreement.
Okay. I think he's got a good chance this week, and where he's in the league as well. I think it'd be good. It'd be good for the league as well if he can move up a few places.
Yeah, definitely. We always like to see some movement on the leaderboard. So, what about a player then? If you had to pick a player who you think's going to...
I think with KD being out, City's form and the fixture they've got, I think I would go with Foden.
Okay.
As a bit of a... I know there's a lot of talk about does he get the game, does he get the minutes, but I think we're going to have to back him this game week. But I think there could be some high scoring defenses as well this week.
Yeah, I've written down Fernandes, who Will's got because of the Man U fixture, like you said.
He's been a bit dry, hasn't he, recently in terms of activity?
Yeah, again, like you said earlier, I don't follow enough of the live games to keep track of how the players are playing. Because you can normally
guarantee him to get like at least 10 points per game. It was ridiculous for a period, but the last 2, 3, 5, he did get an assist last game against Fulham. But I don't know. Pogba taking some form seems to have taken his magic a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. So, the other thing, actually, interestingly, this game week just gone is the first time I think we've had a prediction correct, which was me saying that you were going to be the highest team. We've never had a correct player prediction, but that's the first team prediction we've had.
I think it did look quite strong on paper. I mean, even if I do say so myself, I think the team did with the double game week in the fixtures. They did look strong, so I'm not surprised. But
Well, next up is your segment. So,
excellent.
I'll let you explain what you've brought for us.
Okay. All right. So, I think if I'm doing my maths right, I'm pretty sure game week 19 we just finished. We've got the points in. That represents we're halfway through the season. It's 38 game weeks, so we've just hit the halfway mark. So I wanted to reflect back on the manager's performances to date as we hit the halfway mark. A bit of a shout out. I don't think I should mention. I wouldn't have been able to pull this together without some data provided by the head of statistics, Mr. Adam Waters from Peaky Blinders. So
of course,
without him, this wouldn't have been possible. So I'll just say thanks a lot, Adam. Without hesitation, let's start then, shall we? So here we go. There's a lot to take in here, but I'm going to walk you through this and kind of give a summary for each manager. What I've plotted here is the league position for each manager. So 1 being top of the league, 10 being bottom. for each game week, and it kind of shows where the manager's positions move as we go through the game weeks. So I wanted to give a bit of a summary of each manager. So I thought I'd start with one of my favourite stats that I've seen, and what I like to call rise and fall of Tolly. As you can see from the stats, Tolly did start very high, has had a massive drop off. He tried to come back, and it's been a bit of an emotional rollercoaster for him, but he's really down in the dumps at the moment. And if he doesn't pull out his finger a little bit with these trades, this is not looking good at all. There's very little movement in the positive direction. So, maybe one to watch for the wooden spoon this year.
Ooh.
Let's move on a little bit then. Let's yourself. So, Luke, I think the best way to describe you is Mr. Consistent. I mean, look at that. I mean, after the first few weeks is always a bit of people finding their spot.
Yeah.
But then after that, you're very consistent. Dropped a few or gained a few, but very, very much always at that second position. So that's looking promising.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at Lawrence. So this is our current leader. Looks like he did got up there, and then dropped and stayed dropped. So he took his eye off the ball for a bit, but he's managed to regain back into the top position. So let's hope he doesn't take his eye off the ball again in the future. Otherwise, he could drop a few. Right. Rich, I mean, again, the way I'll describe Rich is Mr. Average, really. I mean, I think he sounds like he'd be happy with that. He seems happy to be fifth.
I suppose as one of the newcomers, he doesn't really know where he's going to fit in.
He feels like he can't make those big trades anymore because he's lost a few valuable players. He seems happy with that fifth, and he is, I say, Mr. Average, I think. But some people are happy with Average. All right, let's move on to Jack. So Jack has the most consecutive game weeks at the first position. But unsurprisingly, has bottled it again. Started to drop a little bit down the league. So not looking great.
He has been hit hard by the rotations, hasn't he?
Yeah, he may have to make some changes. Moving through, we've got as I like to describe, the unexpected demise of Adam. So normally quite a high performer, normally very up there in the top half of the league. Did start fairly well. He got this team going back in the top half, and then he's been very much dropping down, and he's stayed bottom quite a few game weeks. But hopefully, this 99 points this week just gone, he's maybe turning a corner, and that team's starting to hit that form.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we can see him getting back into the top half. Then we've got James, which I like to describe as Mr. Predictable. Gets his team to the top ranking position, top of the league, starts to sell off his best players for absolutely no one, and then drops all the way down the league. And as you can see, that is exactly what's happened again this season.
Yeah.
And you can see he's on his way down. So, yeah, I think very appropriately named Mr. Predictable.
Doing it for the meme now, isn't he?
Then we've got George, which seems to have this glass ceiling. Like, he can't get above 8th position. He just stays on 9th, 10th. He's got to 8th, but then he's dropped back down, got to 8th, dropped back down, and he just can't break through. So I don't know whether he's going to have to make some more radical changes to the team to get past that 8th position, that kind of glass ceiling he keeps hitting.
Yeah.
And then we've got Will, which started very shaky, didn't he? I think we all saw that, didn't we? Very shaky start for Will, but has kind of regained a little bit of a dip. He's had some quite very slow, steady, gradual gains, as you can see from the last 6 or so game weeks. He's slowly creeping up the ladder, but I'm just a bit, as I think you've seen there, is there enough game weeks left? If you're creeping up at that speed, is he going to get up to first? Can he get the title again? I think he might run out of game weeks by the time we get to the end. He is consistently moving up, so he's one to watch, I would say. One to watch.
Especially if they don't cut the league short or anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then that brings on to myself. I mean, it's a bit dismal viewing, but what I like to say is it's 19 game weeks in the making. I mean, every trade, every team layout, every decision I've been making for the last 19 game weeks is to ensure that I peaked on the double game week, and that's exactly come into fruition. So, I mean, the plan is going absolutely perfectly, to be honest. And now I've hit that double game week, I'm going to be flying up that leaderboard. I'm happy now. I think there's no stopping the team now. So I'm looking forward to the next few game weeks, let's say.
Big claim. We'll have to see if that
Well,
pans
that
out.
leads me on to my. I just thought, as I got all the data together, I wanted to give a bit of a. And we've mentioned it a few times as well throughout the chat so far, but the league is starting to heat up, and I just wanted to show you this. So this is a bit of an interesting way of viewing it. So what I'm trying to show is the difference in points between managers. However, what I've done is plotted on the left axis is the points above last position. So I've almost normalized it for last position for the bottom position.
Yeah.
So any points above that are plotted. So as you can see, like we were saying, the league was really starting to open up in terms of a big spread between the first place and last place. You got to, at one point, it was 130 points difference between first place and last place. And some big gaps did start to form, which is not what you want to see. You don't want to see that split between top half and bottom half. But there were some breakaway managers, maybe made the jump or some got the drop. Some big gaps started to form. But what I wanted to do is bring your attention to what I like to call the game week 16 turnaround. So from the game week 16, as you can see, there's some sharp declines from all those top half managers. So we're not talking about just this double game week high 99s, 103 performances. From game week 16, at the bottom half of the table is really bringing the fight back to those top managers. And as you see, there's sharp declines, and I think, as you mentioned earlier, the league is really starting to group up again, and we're getting a lot. I think there's 100 or so, like you say, in it now. Well, less than 100, is it? I think 90 something between the top manager and bottom half, and it's getting very tight amongst the table. A bit of a gap between the top manager and the second manager, but it's getting very tight around the rest of the table. So it's getting quite exciting, and it's obviously some great performances and consistent performances from the bottom half of the league to really, as you can see, show this sharp declines from the top performing manager. Like, those gradients are really telling. And what's interesting with this data, what I can do is actually predict the next 4 game weeks. So what I've done here is taken the last 3 game weeks, taken an average to understand the type of performance you're currently doing and your gradient of how much you're dropping points or gaining points. And then I've projected that over the next 4 game weeks, and it is very interesting viewing. So unfortunately, Luke, what ends up happening is by the 4th game week, by the 23rd game week, so in 4 game weeks time, you're actually going to drop out of the medal position into 4th place. And we're going to have a very strong comeback from Peaky Blinders, then jumping into 3rd place. And then we see Lawrence actually drops to 2nd. It's actually myself that is going to now, in 4 game weeks time, so watch this space, 4 game week time, I will now then be top of the league, is what the prediction is showing. Okay. So, and these are all statistics, obviously, but there's some very consistent gradients being seen over the last few weeks. So if the performances stay as they are, this could be quite accurate. I mean, I'd be quite interested to view where this stands against what actually happens.
Yeah, that would be. Are there any other double game weeks coming up?
Well, you never know, do you? With all these postponed matches, it could shake everything up. So, yeah, who knows? But I thought that was quite an interesting view of what's going on. And as you can see, again, the projections are kind of showing that it's even going to get even more tighter in the pack of the league table.
Yeah. You'll have more of a split between the top and bottom as well, by the looks of it.
Yeah. And on that bombshell of me being top in 4 game weeks time, I thought I would leave my segment there.
Oh, thanks. I like that. I liked the 2 charts back with the this one. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, showing where the gaps were and how it's now starting to come back together.
It's quite an interesting way of plotting it. It's when I was trying to figure out how to plot it, and if you don't normalize it for like the bottom position, it becomes quite hard to see what's really going on. So it seemed quite a nice way of showing that. But you see those gradients, like the last 4 game weeks, it's like quite consistent gradients from those managers. It's not like it's just a one-off week where they've done well or badly. You know, that I think it could be really interesting to see where the predictions sit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
When players and teams start hitting form. Yeah.
We'll have to keep track of your little statistic here and measure it against game week after game week 23.
Yeah.
See what actually
some big
came
claims.
true. Yeah.
It'd be nice to have myself and Peaky Blinders up there in the podium.
Yeah, I mean, any changes anywhere on the table is good for the league. Yeah, and there's still a few game weeks after that to go, isn't there, till the end? So, but yeah, very interesting. It's sort of a form. You're sort of showing current form, aren't you? And what happens if people stay on their current track? So, very interesting.
It might inspire some people to maybe make some changes. Otherwise, it's not looking good.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, we've noticed, haven't we, that there's not been that many trades recently. So yeah, maybe you'll all inspire some people to make some. Yeah, great segment, really good. I'm sure everyone will enjoy that when they see it.
An interesting one. I'll share it with you, but it's quite easy to add all the data to it now. I know it's set up as well, so you can easily update this if you wanted to in the future.
So you're gonna pass this back to Adam to manage, or are you gonna become his second man and help him out?
I don't think he wants any more things to manage. He takes off so much for me anyway, to be fair to him. But it's a pleasure to take some data he's provided and try and put it into more of a digestible format. Even though it's an absolute mess where you just look at it on the screen.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm trying to show.
But, I think the longer you look at it, the more you can see and understand what's happening. So it's really interesting. Well, thanks for that.
No problem. I've enjoyed preparing it.
Good. I love it when a manager enjoys preparing their segment and brings a good segment. So next week we have Adam on. So we do have the King of Stats on next week. So it'll be really interesting to see what segment he brings.
I'm sure it'll be very insightful for the managers.
Yeah, definitely. But for now, Tom, thanks for coming on. So we've got another 19 game weeks to go. So we will see you on again before the end of the season. Yeah, so again, thanks for coming on, Tom.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Remember to subscribe, like the video, leave a comment about what you'd like to see in the future. And this is the DraftCast. And remember, draft is life. See you next time.